Yeah, so the TTV race clutch is a 230, it's custom on this, so it's a 230mm twin plate, organic material, which can handle the power, not a problem at all. It's been specifically done by Ben at TTV to cope with the power and torque, which we were obviously heading towards this car making. All right, we only use Arrow Precision. They're quite a bit more expensive than alternatives out there, but we just stick with the best, which is the Arrow Precision. It's a beautifully made rod. It's quite high end. That's what we use. Everybody to their own. Again, like I always say, don't ever criticize anybody or whatever for what they're doing. That's absolutely fine. If they're happy to do that, great. But I use Arrow Precision rods. Mala Motorsport pistons, which in my opinion, are the very, very best you can get. Mala Motorsport pistons. All ARP. So and then the rods and the bearings, the mains and the big ends and all that sort of stuff be like the King Race or the Dyno, I think they're called. Bearings, whatever it is all race stuff. Everything's ARP. The ARP bolts come with the Arrow Precision rods, and there's mains, or the head stud kit is ARP, the mains are ARP, everything's just the best it can be really, and just, like I said, preventive maintenance and just build it the best you can with the best stuff, and don't scrimp on the internal build, because a lot of people will spend the money elsewhere on the outside, cosmetic and all this sort of stuff, but just through my experience and just my advice is to spend your money on the internals and pay a bit more, because that's what you're, the car ain't going nowhere. If that don't work, we have issues, it ain't going nowhere. It doesn't matter about the cosmetic stuff, does it? It ain't going anywhere. So yeah, that's just that's the way I look at things anyway, which is I always have done. But anyway, so that's that side of it. We don't uprate, this is the head gasket, believe it or not, we use a standard multi-layer head gasket. Now on this application, you have to use a 2-litre head gasket, you can't use a 2.3. It's a 2-litre head gasket that you use. As silly as that might seem, because you're putting the 2.3 head with a 2-litre block, but you do use a 2-litre head gasket, multi-layer steel one. The standard ones are, in my opinion, probably the best. These days you can't beat them, and they're a lot cheaper. If you get a quality part like that, why would you spend out £100 more on a different gasket when you know that the standard one is up to the job and the quality is superb at a third of the price you'd buy that when you. So that's that. We change everything obviously on the regards to the car hasn't done a lot of miles anyway, but all the timing chain is all swapped out, all the tensioners, everything is changed. We don't mess around. Every seals and sensors, we don't mess around. Everything is changed. I couldn't care less whether it's was working before. I'm doing the build on it, so again, preventative maintenance. So we just change it all. It runs uprated spark plugs on this. Most people will run as an upgrade the LTR plug, NGK, which is not an application for these engines, but it's the same spark plug, so it will fit. You just got to obviously gap it down. Quite a favourable application. I've run them in my car, which is a modern step cooler. So as the number goes up, cooler it is. It works the opposite way around to what you think it does. But that's fine. But not in this, because of the power and the torque that this car is running and the heat it generates. Possibly you're going to get a problem with that spark plug, falling to bits with the heat. So we stepped that up to a 9 heat range. So this runs on Denso 9 heat range plugs, which again is something which Romain has tested with Lee on the Dyno, and this is the failures that he's seen on running the 7 plug on it. So it runs that. Little things like that really. Coil packs, standard coil packs, don't need to upgrade them. The standard ones do the job. No point is putting in an upgrade. It's not really going to do much. They don't have any issues with the spark side of it on that, the pulse side of it, so that's good. Plugs covered. Yeah, so what we'll talk about the exhaust, we'll put it up in the air and show you. I think we've pretty much covered. So all this is all custom, so all the lines that you can see for the meth, not so much on here because this is all comes from Bruce at Devil's Own, but this side of it to the rail, so this is all custom made. This is all done for us for another one of our technical partners that we use quite a lot, Exact Engineering. These are all, we had to, like, me and Julian configure all this because the way that it runs. So as you can see under there, Phil, where it says Continental there, right? If you can just about see it, I don't know where my finger is, right? So that's the flex fuel sensor. So on the Cyvex, you don't have to run the flex fuel. Now the reason why we run the flex fuel is as it says, so we can run alternative fuels in this car. So the Cyvex is very clever working with and it controls the flex fuel sensor. So what that means is it pretty much knows what's in the tank. As crazy as that might seem, it does. So for example, this car can run on V-Power, we use V-Powers as an example all the time, don't we? But the Synergy 99, it's 99 ROM basically in it. So we use V-Power, everybody uses V-Power, don't they, as an example. V-Power and methanol, V-Power by itself, and then we step up to ethanol, which is proper, full-on, super spicy fuel, isn't it, Phil?
Oh yeah.
In lots of different.
Depending on the load.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So there's lots of different specs with ethanol. So this has been, when the calibrations have been done on this, Roman's done that, he's calibrated it and dialed in certain ethanol content, whether that be, so I think this was like E98 and E112, and there's a mix of that for the strength and all that sort of stuff. It's quite complicated to work out, Phil, isn't it? But the way the flex fuel sensor works, it's really clever. So at the moment it's on V-Power. Yeah, run V-Power in the methanol. If you decided, right, want to put some ethanol in that, no problem at all. What you do is run it down, because you want to try and get as much of the petrol out as you can. So it doesn't matter, you can mix it. And then what you do then is you chuck the ethanol in, and then you put it into the right drive mode, which is on the drive mode button, so it's easy. And then it will then trigger. So when it runs through the flex fuel sensor, it knows what it's running basically, and it will switch all the calibrations. The Cyvex will switch it, and then knows what it's doing. And it's as easy as that. So when you run the ethanol down, you do the same again. You just put V-Power in it. You're on the seat. You don't need to change drive modes. It's all the ethanol in petrol, V-Power, whatever, is all on the same. It doesn't, one for ethanol, one for this. That complicates things. So it's on the same drive mode, but that knows what's in it. So you just trigger it a few times by coming on boost a few times just to get the fuel. So it learns the fuel. Does it within seconds. And then away you go. So it's very, very, you haven't got to think, oh, I've got ethanol in the tank, better put it on the ethanol map. None of that. That's what the flex fuel sensor is for. Like I said, you don't need a flex fuel sensor if you're not going to ever want to try ethanol in the car. And you wouldn't anyway, because it has to be mapped for ethanol. So each application is different, isn't it? So yeah, that's that. This was a bit about that. I think we talked about everything else, Phil, haven't we? That side of it. Obviously, it's got it's got the Mishimoto catch can, Mishimoto oil cooler, which you can see there. Look, it's got quite a big oil cooler on it. I'm one for everything being cooled. All right, and I'll give you a little bit of just a little teaser. I will show it, but I'll just give you a little bit of an insight into talking about coolers, what I've designed. Me and Julian done at Proform Engineering, which is on my car at the moment. And I took my car we went to the Super Touring festival last weekend at Brands Hatch, 2-dayer. Me and Mike went. Phil had other engagements, so unfortunately he couldn't go, but I'm sure he'll come to the next one. He has been before to a Super Touring event. But anyway, so I took the car to that just to test the coolers. Yeah, so it's all good. So they're on my car at the moment. So the trio of coolers is on my car, and that's what I've been testing. So we'll give you more information on that for you Mark III Focus RS owners, which we know that they have issues with overheating on the transmission side of things. There's lots of discussions about what overheats and why and all this sort of stuff. I'll explain that more when I'll do a video on it and with my car up on the lift, and I'll show you and I'll explain to you what overheats, what doesn't, how it triggers, and all this sort of stuff. Because I've done this because of that reason, and again, different applications, different people, different owners are going to do different things. Phil is not going to be tracking this car. The only time he'll put this on circuit is if I organise a track day, like a gentleman's track day, which is all my customers effectively, and like invitation only and all that sort of stuff. But being sensible, so you're right on there, it's not race, you're not gonna go in there, it's a safe environment and it's controlled. It's not like one of these action days where everybody's out there, 20 cars trying to get into a corner at once, they're all racing each other, and then that things happen, and then your car gets smashed up and all that sort of stuff. So that's the only time that this car will go on the circuit. Same with Monty's M Sport car, and all the rest of them really. So that's in the pipeline to do. But yeah, so that others wouldn't be going on circuit all the time. Derek, fast road on the daily's it, and then he's driving on the circuit. So these coolers then become sort of like interesting. Ooh, well, that's ideal because there's more chance of things overheating when you're caning it on circuit in the summer when it's 30 degrees of ambient temperature outside. So that's all to come, right? So just a little snippet of information there. Other than that, under the bonnet, we talked about the catch can down there. There's some uprated bushes, not the two mad ones, just the sensible ones on the Powerflex ones for the engine mount there. And the gearbox one. We did put the black ones on it at first, but it was quite harsh feel, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It vibrated, a bit vibratey,
Yeah.
a bit harsh.
Yeah, it didn't feel good.
No, and it was, we thought it would settle in. That's right on a track car, because who cares about vibration and that? And it doesn't matter, does it? But you gotta always think this is a road car. Same with the power and torque in the way it delivers it. It's a road car, so you want to be driving it more so. You don't want it. The idea is you drive it on the road and enjoy it, not have it broke down in the garage every 2 minutes. But that's that. I think we covered on that, didn't we? Talked about the intercooler and all that sort of stuff, and now we're going to talk about the exhaust, didn't we? But we'll put it up in the air so you guys and girls can see. Easier if we talk about it whilst we're looking at it, yeah? So let's do that. You now join us underside of Phil's Mark III Focus RS. We won't bother talking about the brakes. I've talked about that before, the big brake kit, front and rear and all that sort of stuff. So let's concentrate on the exhaust. Now this exhaust is a work of art. So this has all been created, as I said, by Julian down at Proform Engineering. So it runs, and I'm gonna say, yeah, from the turbo, it's a straight pipe. There's no catalytic converter on that turbo, right from the turbo. And we'll talk about, I'll explain to you about the cats in a minute. So straight from the turbo, 3.5 inch bore. And the reason why it's 3.5 inch is because the most important thing is the exit, the exhaust gases exit. They get rid of them as fast as you can, especially on the turbo. So that's why it needs to be 3.5 inch. We didn't have that on there before. We had a 3 inch, and that extra half inch is too restrictive. You're not going to make the power that you want because it's too restrictive. Same as the crossover pipe on the top, right? So this has been beautifully handmade by Julian down at Proform, all proper purge welded, look, as you can see, look, superb. And we've gone with the flexi at the front there because it gives it some sort of absorption. Or else it's too rigid. You want to have a bit of like refinement there, a bit of flex. All the brackets have been made, and so this cross member bit here, which is like the support, that's had to been modified. Obviously, because of the size of the exhaust, you couldn't fit that up there. It wouldn't fit, would it? And you didn't want to be leaving it off, so that's on there. It's spaced down to clearance side of things, and then you've got to think about how it runs down through the tunnel. So as you can see, the way that Julian's done it here, it's going to be close anyway because it's a 3.5 inch, isn't it? So the way that it dips down there, look, and back under there, not restricting the flow at all, and then straight back, all double purge welded. Up there, now this is where it gets interesting. So to there is what Julian's made. So up over the axle, the rear diff, then it steps back down to 3 inch look, with a V-band there. Now this originally that's had a faux Simpson exhaust on it. For this application now, no good, too small. But we retained the Simpson rear silencer because that's very unique and very expensive. It's a, as you can see, look, yeah? So it's repackable. So ring of bolts, just take it off, that comes out, and then you repack it. This has been fully packed. So you cram in as much as you can. They sound better fully packed. You take all the packing out of that, any car sound too hollow, and it's too raspy, too noisy. So that's fully packed in there, all right? And yeah, I mean, Simpson race exhaust is one of the best out there. That's, you know, he's been going for a long, long time, and you can't, I mean, that's what's on Monty's on his M Sport, is a custom-made exhaust, same as what was on the Little Beast, same as what's on other applications as well, like the rear silencers that I do and all that sort of thing. So then we come to the rear fill. This is the, we'll talk about the cats look. all right? So for those of you who said, yeah, well, that's decatted. Yeah, it is, well, it's not decatted because the catalytic converters are in the tailpipe slot. So these tailpipes are 5-inch tailpipes, which obviously the original tailpipes that were on the car that Simpson made. And what we've done is we fabricated in, as you can see, look, so we fabricated in, well, I haven't, Julian down at Proform has, 200 cell catalytic converters. So they're 200 cell a piece. Then you're fully compliant with emissions side of things. And yes, you can get the probe in there because as long as it's sensing it, it's fine. So you get the probe.
Tried and tested, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, the first thing I've done was, before I go do anything, is test it. You know, that's what I do, isn't it? So you get the probe in as far as you can in the exhaust. Well, yeah, that's as far as I can get it in there. And it's fine. What comes out of there is fully compliant with emissions. So it's not having any effect on the emissions at all. And this is the sort of thing that they use on WRC and Rallycross, World Rallycross and all that sort of stuff. A lot of people haven't seen that before. Say, what the hell is that in the tailpipe? These catalytic converters. If you see on WRC at night when the exhaust is glowing, that's the catalytic converter glowing, and they have to have them in there for regulations, because on a rally car, not so much a rallycross car, but a rally car has to be road registered because it drives from stage to stage, doesn't it? These WRC cars, all of them do. They don't take them on trailers, they have to drive to the next stage, hence why they have to be fully compliant. So that's why you'll see the cats in the tailpipes. Yeah, when it comes around, they have to have an MOT, don't they? Because they're driving on a road, unless they're not driving on a road, but a lot of them do, don't they? So that's something which is new that I've done. It's pretty cool because what it does is it helps with the sound as well, Phil, doesn't it?
Yeah.
With with it being quite aggressive in the volume side of it. We tested it and it's pretty good on the decibels, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is good. So if you, even for like, you got to look on the assumption, oh, we're gonna on the track. If Phil's not gonna do that. But if you were gonna take it to the circuit, static revs at 4 grand, whatever it is, if I remember, and it's pretty cool. It's within the, if you've got it's less than 90 decibels. Most circuits are 90 decibels, then it's less than that. So we're all good. We don't know what it's like on faux chat. Who knows? But it's compliant on that side of it. So yeah. But the exhaust, yeah, fantastic job that Julian's done down at Proform Engineering. So that's that on the exhaust there, Phil, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nothing else to really talk about on that. Wow. And then when we let him down, we'll just finish up on the power side of it. Yeah, with regards to figures and torque, etc., on Phil's build, this is phase 1. So by no means is this the finished end of maximum figures at all for what we're going to achieve with this car. It's got a fresh build, not so much the bottom end. The bottom end's, I built that a little while ago. Hasn't done a lot of miles though, and the head's fresh, as we talked about, and all the rest of it. So the sensible thing to do is to do the calibrations on it, but stay in a safe zone and get a decent figures, just what it's bedding in. There's plenty more to come. So this is, when we do the phase 2, we'll obviously document that, run you through the process, because it'll have to go back to the dyno, and then we can turn the wick up on it. But I'll give you an idea. This is only running on 2-bar boost for this particular calibration set. Remain is done on it. You'll see the figures. We'll reveal them a bit later, but just understand that's not maximum figures. It is just a phase 1 figure, which is really, really good. The figures. So before I tell you what this car has been capped at, the reason, me and Phil talked about it, we talked about it, we were there with Roman and Lee and talked about it. What do you want to do? Do you want to go for headline figures and start pushing it to the absolute maximum? And I said, no, not really. Like I said before previously on the video, I'm not interested in headline figures. Me and Phil talked about it. Yeah, you could push this further if you wanted to and max it out, but I don't see the point. Just to show somebody, yeah, done that. Look, that doesn't, I'm not interested in that. I'm more interested in about keeping it sensible and not having any issues. No matter how good you build something, you can't control that, can you? So that's what we agreed on, Phil, didn't we?
That's right.
With Remain, and I think it is the most sensible thing to do. You can clearly see on the graph that it's still making power. It's not dropping off. So that's why we've kept it. He could have kept going, and we all said that if you maxed it out and pushed it further and all that sort of stuff, it would make, you'd be knocking on the door 700 horsepower, which is, our initial aim was between 6 and 7. Safely, and it's sort of like there, isn't it? I mean, 640, 650, who cares? It's all, doesn't matter, does it? But the torque is the important figure, and it's very usable as well. So the way we've configured the turbo with Mata Turbo Dynamics, it spools up pretty quick. So the lag is quite minimum. So it start, you know, you're talking 2.5 grand, start spooling up, and then it comes on strong. But it's good low, down, mid-range, and upper end power as well, but we're more interested in what it does low, down and mid-range, because that's where most of your driving is, isn't it? You've got to be realistic about what you're doing with the car and how you want it and all that sort of stuff. But I drove the car, obviously Remain in Lee, so this car was on the dyno all day pretty much, and they set that up all day, and all the safety features and all this sort of stuff in this car, and then obviously that's what we capped it at, and then they took it out. So that it was got to be, Phil, it's got to have been 30 degrees up at Bognor Regis.
Yeah, not far off.
Oh, it was roasting up there. Even so, we had to get into the garage in the shade to get out of it. And that car was running on the dyno all day. So you can imagine how hot it was in there. And then they went out and road mapped it. And then job done. That's it. And then I drove it back, jumped in it. Obviously, I drove it up there sensibly under boost because obviously it wasn't calibrated. And then I drove it back. So it's had plenty of testing, so to speak. So now it's time for Phil, as I said, reacquainted with the car. John from Warren's Valeting came up yesterday just to give it a quick inside out valet, a quick once over. Phil's going to be doing the rest of the polishing and all that sort of stuff when he gets back. We've got to give him something to do, and we can't just give him the car and he ain't got to do anything on it. But as I've always said, it's all right me driving it or whatever. It's Phil's car, he needs to drive it and then get used to it himself with, you know, by himself really, and then figure everything out and all that sort of stuff. But it's going to be, yeah, it's very rapid, and it's going to be quite scary. And what we've achieved here is fantastic. So this, now everything's done. Phil's got to do some miles on it and give me lots of feedback. I'm quite happy now to be able to offer this package to potential Mark III Focus RS owners. It is expensive. It's not like everybody else's package. It's a complete bespoke custom that we've done, and it's took a long time to do it, and we've proved what it achieves, and Phil will give me feedback how it drives. When Roman come back from road test with Lee, the first thing he done when he got out, and this is a man who's driven, he builds, he maps up and gets involved with builds of 2,000 horsepower plus Nissan GTRs. And you just check him out, Racecal, Roman from Racecal. The things that he's been involved with is crazy. And when he got out of the car, I'm in late, and I said, what do you think? He had a big smile on his face, and he said, that's a very fast car. Just be careful, because you're not going to realise just how fast that is. And yeah, but that, like I said, that package will be available now. I haven't put a complete price together yet because I haven't had time, because it's more important to get this car finished, but I will do. But there'll only be one way that I do it. There's none of this, can I supply this, or can I use this? No, it'll be 100% that application, because we know that works. But anybody jumping in that car as a passenger and they're thinking about doing it, we'll get out of the car and want it done yesterday. It's absolutely mad. It sounds, the car sounds like a jet plane. When you get on throttle, it sounds like a fighter jet. It's difficult to explain that, but it's truly madness. Absolutely, there's nothing else like it. That car, the sound it makes, the build that's been done is a complete one-off. Obviously others can have it, but it's a complete one-off, meaning that it's something that I've created, and it's like no other. It sounds like no other, and it goes like no other. You know, as I said before, I just concentrate on what I'm doing with regards to my projects. I don't really follow what other people are doing. I just, you know, all I'm interested in the people that are involved with me with doing such things, not what other people are doing, because then I lose track of what I'm doing then, don't I? So that's it really. Use thing, like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, comments down below, really important. I'll try and answer them as much as I can. It's quite difficult because I'm so busy, but if you are interested, any of you Mark III Focus RS owners, serious inquiries only, but you'll need to call me. There's no good trying to message me and saying, what about this, what about that, how much is it, and all that sort of stuff. No disrespect, but I haven't got time. So you have to give me a call.
I'll try and answer some questions.
Yeah, and I can, look, during the day it's difficult, but I'll always endeavour to contact serious inquiries after hours. So I'm not a 9 to 5 or anything like that. Even if I'm at home, I will talk to somebody and run them through, give them my time whenever I can. Not a problem at all. Okay, so just bear that in mind. Don't try ringing me during the day, because I won't be able to start having a chat with you, because I'm other things to do with the MOTs and whatnot. But yeah, be interesting to see what you guys and girls think. But Phil will try and get some flybys done, I suppose. Yeah. Make sure it's on, yes. Yeah. Make sure it's not on the public highway, Phil. Absolutely. And on something which is like a private road or something like that, or wherever. But yeah, you have to bear that in mind, of course. Right, guys and girls, that's it. Till the next time. Ciao. Right, guys and girls, one thing I did forget to mention with regards to Phil's Mark III Focus RS, known as the Black Beast. That's what we've named it. Yeah, I forgot to mention about the help that we had from Lee at Devil Developments, along with Roman, which is superb. So we had a few little niggly issues with the car on the dyno, which was solved very, very quickly, this is what it's all about. When you go to the dyno and it's all new, everything's all custom, you're going to come across little issues which was resolved really. Yeah, there'll be more videos coming on the Black Beast as Phil puts the mileage on it and takes it here, there and everywhere. But yeah, when I catch up with Phil in the car, or the car comes back to me, we'll do another catch up video on it. But there's lots more to come on the Black Beast on the social media. Now it's completed, and yeah, you'll be able to see what it's all about. So that was it. So it's just something that I forgot. The car's not here anymore because obviously Phil's took it back, because obviously you can see I've got my van back, which is great. I haven't seen it for a while. So yeah, all is good. Till next time. Bye bye.